This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by the folks over at Dipstick Vapes, makers of the innovative Dipper Vaporizer, which can be used in all sorts of very cool ways to vaporize marijuana concentrates and extracts. If you have a marijuana dispensary or shop that could benefit from the sales generated by the Dipper, then you should head over to dipstickvapes.com to get in touch about becoming a reseller. With a killer list of features and a hugely affordable price, the Dipper is sure to move off your shelves most swiftly. And don't forget, if you just want to buy a Dipper for yourself, you can save 15% off its already affordable cost by using the discount code MJToday over at dipstickvapes.com. And don't forget, that will also generate a donation in that same amount to our friends over at Students for Sensible Drug Policy by Dipstick Vapes. Use the discount code MJToday to save 15% off the cost of a Dipper over at dipstickvapes.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, June 27th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 277 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is the op-ed published on Sunday in the Washington Post by former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, best known for being fired by President Donald Trump for not properly kissing his presidential ring. In her op-ed, Ms. Yates lays into Attorney General Jeff Sessions for his renewed pickup of the disastrous war on drugs. Pointing out the fact that crime is actually at an all-time low, Ms. Yates writes, quote, "But there is also no evidence that the increase in violent crimes some cities have experienced is the result of drug offenders not serving enough time in prison. In fact, a recent study by the bipartisan U.S. Sentencing Commission found that drug defendants with shorter sentences were actually less likely to commit crimes when released than those sentenced under older, more severe penalties." Unquote. Ms. Yates' op-ed was in response to an earlier op-ed by Attorney General Sessions, in which he weakly justifies his backwards approach to drug policy reform. Massachusetts legislative leaders have selected the 6 members of the House and Senate Conference Committee that will work to craft a marijuana legalization compromise bill that both houses of legislature can live with. Regular listeners know how messy things have been in Massachusetts in terms of implementing the adult use legalization initiative passed by voters in the fall, with the state House and Senate recently passing 2 very different bills. The 6 members named to the conference committee were equally drawn from the House and Senate, with the House sending Republican Hannah Kane and Democrats Mark Cusack and Ron Mariano, the majority leader, with the Senate sending Democrats Patricia Jalen and William Brownsberger and Republican Vinnie Demasiado. We'll be following along as things progress on this one. Our final top story of the day is an interview run on Iowa Public Radio with Dr. Andrew Bachman, CEO of Leafline Labs, one of Minnesota's 2 licensed medical marijuana providers. As I've covered a number of times before in the past, Minnesota is not an easy state to be a medical marijuana provider in right now, with both companies continuing to lose money as they look ahead to a future of more relaxed program constraints. There are or will be a number of other states in the country with equally restrictive medical marijuana programs, so I think it's instructive to look at what's going on in Minnesota. Click on over and give a read and a listen. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Dipstick Vapes, makers of the innovative Dipper Vaporizer. I know my friend Mark Passerini over at the Ohm of Medicine Medical Marijuana Dispensary of Ann Arbor, Michigan, just started selling the Dipper, and from all reports, sales have been brisk. Your customers will appreciate the Dipper's hugely affordable price and the fact that they can use it in so many different ways, from a traditional pack-and-go vape pen to an outright replacement for butane and blowtorches if you add in their optional Dip Whip accessory. To learn more about becoming a reseller of the Dipper, just open up dipstickvapes.com to get in touch. And don't forget, use the discount code MJToday when you check out to save 15% off the cost of buying your own Dipper over at dipstickvapes.com. That's discount code MJToday, dipstickvapes.com. All right, time for the Blitz. Yesterday, medical marijuana regulators in Maryland voted to deny a final license to one of the 15 initial cultivation winners after concerns were raised that the company was not being forthcoming and honest with the state in regards to information sharing. MaryMed LLC was told that it would not be receiving their final cultivation license due in part to their association with Vireo Health, their corporate owners, and a company that's been caught up in some controversy of its own after two of its executives were busted for illegally driving a load of cannabis oil across state lines between two of its other marijuana facilities. This is a good one to click over for the full read. Speaking of Vireo Health, in Pennsylvania, one of the company's affiliates was recently awarded one of the 12 coveted cultivation licenses granted by the state. Pennsylvania Medical Solutions is associated with Vireo Health and shares a CEO in Kyle Kingsley. The company released a statement defending themselves, saying, quote, "While we're aware of allegations against two former employees of our Minnesota affiliate, those individuals have no role in our application or in the management of our company." Unquote. As Penn Live is reporting, it's not clear if state officials were aware of the connection during the scoring process. We'll report back if anything changes here. Activists in Utah have announced an effort to legalize medical marijuana in their state via ballot initiative next year. Under the proposed measure, qualified patients would be able to consume marijuana via edibles, topicals, or transdermally, though not smoking. This is a nod to Utah's more conservative voting bloc, who in theory will have an easier time accepting medical marijuana that's not coming out of a joint or a bong. To get on the ballot, the group Utah Patients Coalition will need to gather 115,000 valid signatures this summer. Good luck to all there. A proposed bill in California state legislature would ban legal marijuana companies from advertising or using brands in marketing campaigns. Senate Bill 162 is a terrible mess of a bill that would further prohibit marijuana companies from printing so-called commercial messages on things like hats and t-shirts. Let's hope this bill dies the swift legislative death it deserves. Nevada's Department of Taxation will be monitoring the amount of medical marijuana dispensaries have on hand to prevent them from stocking up to handle anticipated disruptions in the distribution of the state's new adult use marijuana. On July 1st, medical shops in the state will be cleared to sell to adult use customers, but will likely have trouble restocking due to the lawsuit I've covered a number of times here on the show that's currently blocking any non-liquor distributors from getting involved with marijuana distribution. The Department of Taxation says they'll be watching dispensaries closely to ensure they don't stock up ahead of time. Tom Angel over MassRoots has a good story up about recent comments made by David Shulkin, President Trump's Secretary of Veteran Affairs, indicating an openness to the idea of using medical marijuana to treat veterans in need. This is a good story to click over for the full read. And finally for today, Marijuana Business Daily's chart of the week is a great one, showing an estimation for how many jobs have been created by legal marijuana compared to other jobs like pharmacists and bakers. At around 200,000 industry jobs, legal cannabis is just about on the same level as dental hygienists and telemarketers. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Dipstick Vapes, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.